Right, so in this video we're going to look at the software component to the Sport World Scalextric Sport World system. This is the Sport World software. You have a track designer, you have your pit garage where you can have all of your Scalextric cars. You can read technical manuals on how to get the best out of these cars. There's a bit there on lubricating a motor, bit of information there about pinions, crown gears, etc, etc. After you've run a few races, you can get telemetry data, throttle speed. You've got information about controller profiles, and I'll go through all of this in depth in a later video, but I'm just showing you what I'm actually talking about for the time being. You've got a driver's section, so you can add in your drivers. You've got the race setup, where you can select your track, select the race mode from Grand Prix, Endurance, Rally, Rally Stage, Drag, Pursuit, Arcade, or NASCAR, how many laps, direction of the cars on the track. This one is minimum number of pit stops, whether you want to simulate fuel load, whether you want to put on easy drive. You've got variable weather conditions, minimum lap time, false start penalty, whether you want the power to be cut on or off at the start or the end of the race, whether you want yellow flag conditions, whether you want crash and burn, and then this one gets you into the race. But I'm going to go through all the software, each sort of section in detail in other videos. So if you saw the last video that I did on Scalextric Sport World, which was me setting up the hardware, then we got to a point whereby I was getting this message: the Sport World command unit must be connected to enter the race area. Please connect the command unit and try again. Well, I had connected the command unit and it wasn't working. So what happened next was hours and hours of problem solving. So I'll just sort of talk you through that briefly if I can. So if anybody else wants to get up and running with this software, then they will be able to. So first of all, if you want a copy of this software, you can get it online. Go to slotracer.online/software. Go to their software download page, look for Scalextric Sport World, and there is a complete image of the CD software. You can download that and install it onto your machine. It will install, I'm running Windows 11 and it installed on Windows 11. It works perfectly, apart from the fact that you will not be able to connect it to a controller should you find a controller. By controller I mean the command unit, the base unit that plugs into the track. To make it work, you need to download some updates and install them. I'll show you how to do that later on in this video. Okay, so that is where, if you haven't got the copy of the CD, you can download the software from this website, slotracer.online/software. Okay, so the software was telling me the command unit must be connected. Okay, so it wasn't picking up that the command unit was connected. So I went into the device manager on my Windows 11 PC, found the command unit listed, and tried to update the driver. It wouldn't update the driver. I found the driver location in the software and tried to tell it to install the driver. It wouldn't do it. I uninstalled the software, reinstalled the software, did this 4 or 5 times, and then I noticed that when it was installing, it came up with this error just before it. If you quickly click next, you'll miss it, but when you're reinstalling it, just before it finishes installing, you'll get this message. Install upgrade driver for Windows error. Windows error doesn't support automatic driver updates. Installing the driver. Driver pre-installation has failed with error. Blah 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 blah. FTD2 driver completed. Right. So that is just a load of gobbledygook. But if you Google this number and do a bit of Googling around what this actually means, driver pre-installation has failed with error, it's basically a common error that you will get if you're trying to install a very old piece of hardware that is got a 32-bit driver onto a Windows 64-bit system. The new Windows 10, 11, whatever, the 64-bit versions of Windows, they will not install a 32-bit driver. So there's absolutely no way this machine running Windows 11 would take the driver for the command center. It just would not work. So next option that I had, this looks a bit like the command center for the UK space program, but basically I was trying to figure out the driver situation in my Windows 11 laptop. I had a Windows 10 PC I was trying to install the software on to see if that would make it work, and I also had a Windows Vista laptop. Now I thought that I could just take the software that I'd downloaded, put it onto a USB key drive, USB flash drive, put it into the old Windows Vista laptop, drag it off of that USB drive, open it up and install it that way. Problem is, what you download from the website is basically an entire copy of the CD with the software on. So when you drop it into this old laptop, which has a DVD rewriter built into it, it thinks you're trying to burn a CD. Every time I tried to run the software by dragging and dropping it, it wouldn't install it or run it as though it was software. It would just instantly try and get me to burn it onto a CD, and I'm not technically minded enough to be able to cope with that. So after about 15 minutes of trying to deal with that, I gave up, and I had to open the sealed copy of the CD that came with the Sport World set. So I'd forgotten just how long computers took to install software back in 2005. So I put the CD in, and it must have taken about an hour to get to the point where it had installed, and I'd been managed to upgrade the software. Let's just see if I've got a video. Prehistoric laptop, command unit, plugged in by USB. It's got a DVD drive. It's just installed the software, and it told me that it installed the driver. So okay, so I'd managed to install the software onto an old Windows Vista laptop. I'd managed to install the updates into the Windows Vista laptop. Now, when you first install the software, it's completely useless. It won't run at all. You then have to update it, and there's 5 updates that you have to update it with. And gradually, as you do each update, the software slowly starts to actually work, starts to actually slowly come to life. However, on the Windows Vista laptop, which was of the time of the software, whenever you went to run a race, instead of getting the Sport World command unit must be connected error message, it simply crashed. Whenever you went to do anything that seemed to put any sort of strain onto the machine, like open the track builder, start a race, then the machine just completely crashed and you had to restart the software. And I wasn't able to get the software to function on a Windows Vista machine that was from the same era as the software, or thereabouts. So you have to bear in mind, at the time in 2005, when this software was released, with the set that cost £150 just to upgrade your track. So £150 bought you the command center and the software and 2 controllers. How many people actually had a PC that was capable of getting this software running, and it was mobile enough to plug it into their Scalextric track? I mean, the level of spec on the PC that was required back in 2005, it would have been a high-end PC. It's just not the sort of thing you'd have lying around spare to plug into your Scalextric track. Anyway, I digress. So the hardware would not work with this software running on Windows 11 or Windows 10. The hardware would work with the software running on Windows Vista on an old machine. However, it would not run. Every time you wanted to do something, it would crash. So I had to find the solution to get both things to work. I needed to be able to connect the hardware up to my Windows 11 laptop, but I also needed the software to work. So the answer was a virtual machine. Now, had I known about virtual machines before I started this, then I could have saved myself a couple of evenings stressing out trying to figure out just exactly why this thing would not install the drivers, etc, etc, etc. But anyway, so if you find yourself in possession of a Scalextric Sport World Command Center and you've downloaded the software and you want to actually use the two together, then here's what you need to do. You need to find a piece of software called Oracle Virtual Machine VirtualBox. I will not go into too much about what this is and how to do it, because if you simply go to YouTube and type in how to set up Oracle VirtualBox, there's a million videos which will tell you what you need to do. But basically what it essentially does, it creates a PC within your PC. So you can set all of the specs for this virtual PC inside your PC to be of the specification required to run the software you're trying to run. So basically I told it that I wanted a Windows XP machine, 32-bit, gave it a bit more extra memory than was required for the disk, given the fact that the laptop with the correct amount of memory kept crashing trying to run it. Gave it much more graphics memory than was required, etc, etc. And then what you end up with is Let's just close the software. Oh no, cancel that. Close the software. You end up with a virtual PC inside your PC running Windows Vista. Okay, so then what you do is you download your Sport World software, you go to your virtual manager of your virtual PC, you go to your settings, you go to your, where are we? Is it storage? Yeah, storage. And basically you tell it, oh, you have to install Windows XP on it as well first. Sorry, jumped ahead a step there. So you download and install your virtual machine. You then have to download Windows XP, and install it onto the virtual machine. So there's two things you want to look up on YouTube: how to install a virtual machine, how to download Windows XP and install it on a virtual machine. There's loads of videos. It's much easier than it sounds. So yeah, once you've done that, you've got a virtual PC inside your PC running Windows XP. Are you still with me? And then you tell it, you drop the file for the Sport World CD into the virtual disk drive on this virtual machine that doesn't exist. So then when you go to that virtual machine that doesn't exist, it thinks that in its disk drive it's got the Sport World CD, so you just click on that and it will install Sport World onto your virtual machine. Right, everybody with me so far? One other thing you've got to do, you need to create a shared folder that is shared between your virtual machine and your real machine. So for some reason I called my virtual PC XP Inside, because it's a Windows XP machine inside my Windows 11 machine, and I created a folder called XP Inside Files. Now basically the files that you drop into this folder from your Windows 11 machine, you can then tell your virtual machine that you want to share those folders. So to find whatever you drop into this folder box on your real Windows 11 machine, you go into your virtual machine. God, this is confusing. And under my computer, hopefully, you'll find a network drive. And that network drive contains all of the files that you've dragged and dropped into there. And why do you need to know that? Well, because remember I said you need to update the software. So you download the updates, of which there are 5. And that will put a folder onto your desktop, which is a zip file containing the updates. You unzip it to your desktop, and then you've got another folder containing your updates. You take that folder and you drag it into your shared folder. So now your virtual machine running inside your Windows 11 machine now has access to the updates. So in here, look, here they are. Update 1, update 2, update 3, update 4, update 5. Lovely. So now what you have to do, go into my computer in your virtual machine, go into the C drive, go into program files, find the Scalextric software, click on that, click on Sport World, look for updates, click on updates, and in here you will see I've already done it, but basically one at a time you need to drag update 1 from your shared folder you need to drag that into the update folder, close it down, start the software. It will ask you, it will open a web browser, it will say web browser not found, or website not found, because the Sport World website has been abandoned by Scalextric. And then it will just close. So you just do that, ignore all of that, and then you drop in update number 2. Open up software, let it do its update, close it down, drag in number 3, open up the software, let it update, close it down, drag in number 4, so on and so on, until you've done all 5 updates. Now, the software is very, very buggy, and the updates add, I'd like to say add functionality, but more like they add operational ability to the software, because on all the different machines I've tried this on, I've had different levels of success of getting the software to work, and each one has changed depending on what updates put in it. So for example, on this, in the virtual machine, the software would not run at all. It would just open, crash, open, crash, open, crash. Now I did update number 1, and then it would open and run. And then you'd open it, and you'd go to open the track designer, and then it would crash. Okay, and then, well, let's open it up. So see, if you don't want to listen to all this music, you can just right click it, and then it jumps the start scene. There we go. So around update number 4, you'll start to get this message: no compatible 3D accelerated graphics card detected. Real-time 3D race coverage and circuit design will be disabled. Switching to pitboard mode for racing. Now, why have they done that? Basically, down here is the track designer. Now that update has told the software to look for an AGP graphics card, and if it cannot find an AGP graphics card, then to disable all of the 3D gaming elements of the software, basically to stop it from crashing. Because I should imagine in 2005 not many people actually had a PC with an AGP graphics card just lying around to run this software for their Scalextric track, and they were trying to run it on Windows machines that were not state-of-the-art gaming machines, and it just kept crashing. So one of their updates has basically disabled that functionality. Now I won't click on that track designer now because it will crash the software. Now, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, if we go into the car mode and we actually, let's change the track. Let's change the track to circuit 1, and then let's go back to car mode. Right, okay. So this is race setup mode. We're on track circuit 1, and here you get a top-down view of the circuit. If I click this button, here we go, we should get a 3D rendition of what the track looks like. So it's a car's eye view of going around the track. Now, when you're in race mode, one of the main features of this sport world is that as your car is going around your track in real life, you would see a 3D representation of your car and your opponent's cars going around this virtual track. However, because this crashes the system, they have removed that So you won't get to experience that. Okay, let's go back to that. Now, the only way that I've figured that, well, the only way that I think you could get full functionality out of this software would be to find an old PC that has an AGP graphics card in it and is suitably powerful enough to run this software. Because the virtual machine, there's no way of configuring it to have a virtual AGP graphics card. It has 3D software acceleration, but it doesn't have any way of simulating that it has an AGP graphics card in it. So that I've figured out no way to get the software to think that it has a suitable graphics card so that you can actually go into race mode with the 3D version of the track. Right, I'm going to have to plug it in and switch it on so I can actually show you what I mean. Right, so the command unit has just been plugged in, and now you'll see down in this bottom right hand corner we have a line flashing between the track and the command center, and between the command center and the PC, to show that it's all connected. So now if we go into race mode, no, sorry, that's qualifying, race mode, and we click start,
they're all set on the grid and it's
go. See, this is what they call pit board mode. You just basically have a pit board on the screen giving you your position, your lap time, your fuel load, your current lap time, best, and so on. And along the bottom you're supposed to get your virtual speed in kilometers per hour, but that won't work because we're not getting the 3D representation of where the car is on the track. See, now if this was working as though it had an AGP graphics card in it, then what you would be seeing, oh, have I just crashed it? There we go. What you would be seeing during the race would be your car going around the track like that. In actual fact, if you go to the garage and pick a Scalextric car from 2005, then you can take it for a virtual test drive around a track. Oh, don't crash. Don't crash. No, it's crashed. Right, okay. Yes. You're going to want to have 2 instances of this software installed on your computer. You are going to want a version installed on your actual Windows laptop, and you're going to want a version installed on your virtual machine inside your Windows 11 or 10 machine. Why do you want that, you ask? Well, because the Sport World system needs to have in its brain a copy of your track. So if it is running that 3D rendition of your cars running around your track, it needs to know what that track looks like. And I'm not sure how, but for the pacer system, I think... Oh no, actually you can run the pacer system without the software, so perhaps it doesn't. Honest answer, I don't know. I don't know how important it is for the software to have a copy of your track in its brain, but basically if you want it to have a copy of your track in its brain, then the track designer should work on your Windows 11 machine. So you go to the track designer, you design your track. This track's going to be incredibly simple. Oh no, hang on. No. There we go. There we go. And we're going to call our track the oval. And we're going to save that. And we've saved the oval. So now we go into File Explorer. We go into Windows. We go into Program Files. We find Scalextric. We find Sport World. We find Circuits. And there is the oval. Oh, we copy the oval. We go over to our shared folders. We open. Oh, hang on, it's already open. We go to our shared folders. Open it up. We paste the oval. There it is. So that is now in our shared folder. We go back into our virtual machine. We find the network drive. And there's the oval. We drag that up to the desktop. Boomf. We then go into the Sport World software. Scalextric Sport World Circuits. And we grab the oval and we drag it in to our circuits. Close that down. Let's open up Sport World. Yeah. No compatible blah blah blah. Yep, we know that. So now when we go into the race setup, we've now got the option of adding in our track. The oval. There it is. And we can take a 3D tour of our track, which will be pretty boring because we haven't added in any scenery or any of the effects, which I will cover in another video. There we go. So like I say, if we can find a way of getting this software to think it's got an AGP graphics card, or if we can find a machine that has actually got an AGP graphics card in it that will actually run this software, then when we go into the race mode, it will know we're running on the oval, and instead of being in pitboard mode, we will actually get to see the cars running around the track. Now this was all designed for the online capabilities of the software, which when you click that, oh, now what? The Sport World Command Unit and Base Unit must be connected to your PC, and your PC must be connected to the internet to enter the race world area. Check your connections and try it again. Why is it not connected to the internet? We can see it's connected to the internet. So basically there was something called Scalextric, the world's biggest race, and it was an idea whereby you could take this software and you'd click this button and you'd be able to log into a website server, and people all over the world, providing they had the same configuration of track, they could race together in real time over the internet. So your car would be going around your track and up to 8 players in total, their cars would be going around their track. The tracks would all be identical, and they'd all be running this Sport World software, and they'd all be talking to each other electronically, and the software would know exactly where each other's cars were on the track at any given time, so they'd be able to know who actually won the race, etc, etc, etc. It doesn't actually appear to have worked though. So anyway, the website Scalextricsportworld.com is now defunct, abandoned. www.scalextricsportworld.com. Yep. So the website was active between 2005 and 2006, 7, 2008. Then it seems to have been completely abandoned 2009, because by 2010 it's been hijacked by Chinese spam. But anyway, here's what it would have looked like had you forked out your £150 for the Sport World system in December of 2005 on Christmas Eve. Here is what you would have been greeted with. So basically, welcome to Sport World. And then over here on the left was a link to what was called World's Biggest Race, and that was where you could link up with other players around the world and all race around the same track from the comfort of your own home, which sounded like a brilliant idea, but it obviously didn't work. Right, so thanks for watching. If you find this interesting, then comment below. If you're finding it as dull as dishwater, comment below. If you want to see more explorations into old Scalextrics and slot car technology, then subscribe, comment, like, do all whatever you're supposed to do on these YouTube videos. I promise this is probably going to be the most boring one in the whole of this Sport World series, because installing software isn't exactly exciting, but it's also quite important to cover it just in case somebody else is trying to do it, and I can save them a whole heap of hassle. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.